This is your election brief. Once again, welcome to the program. I'm Arba Kumsin. We'll start off with the Electoral Commission, which says it intends to position itself as the benchmark for independent and trusted elections in Africa. Now, it's an open secret that the Electoral Commission has, over the years, been bastardized by political parties, namely the National Democratic Congress and the opposition New Patriotic Party, especially when they are in opposition. But it appears the EC is set to change that perception as part of a main agenda to rebrand itself. It is rolling out a communication strategy which will help to enhance transparency and accountability going forward into this year's polls and successive elections. Let's take a listen to Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Madam Charlotte Osei, giving details about this strategy.
As the body responsible for managing elections in Ghana, we recognize that effective communication drives transparency, accountability, and ultimately better services and outcomes. Our success in improving outcomes and the quality of the electoral services we provide is significantly dependent on our ability to look outward to serve the interests of the voting public. The communication strategy that we're going to launch today is the blueprint of how we intend to effectively communicate with all internal and external stakeholders in order to deliver on our core electoral mandate. It comes at a time when we have purpose to improve our relationship with our key stakeholders and reposition the Commission as a more transparent and responsive institution which is alive to its responsibilities of delivering credible world-class elections. Your Excellency, we are aiming to be the benchmark in Africa for the delivery of independent, trusted, and world-class electoral outcomes. Effective communications is therefore imperative to building understanding and trust among our stakeholders. This strategy details how we at the Commission will disseminate information to stakeholders on our programs and activities, and how this will help us attain the objectives in our strategic plan. It outlines the tools we will use to get our messages across, and in turn create a two-way feedback system between the Commission and the voting public. The strategy also outlines who our target audiences are, our communications principles, our communications values, our internal and external comms policies, the channels that we will use for both internal and external communications, and how the strategy will be implemented and the mechanisms for evaluation and monitoring results at predetermined intervals. The Commission now has a well-structured and staffed comms department, and it is expected that the team will diligently work towards implementing the activities contained in this communication strategy and honor the timelines and so achieve the targets of a more transparent and publicly trusted Electoral Commission.
So that's Electoral Commission Chairperson Charlotte Osei talking about the Commission's new communication strategy. We can get some more details on this because Deputy Head of Communications at the EC, Yusuf Ayuba, joins us on the line. Many thanks for your time, Mr. Ayuba.
Good afternoon.
Now, certainly a big vision there, positioning yourself to be the benchmark for independent and trusted elections, not just in Ghana, but in Africa. But so, first of all, is this part of a grand plan or, wider blueprint to reinvent the Commission? You first started by changing your logo, now this communication strategy.
Thank you very much. If you will recall, the Commission launched a 5-year strategic plan to cater for this year up to 2020. And we've outlined activities, various activities and programs that the Commission would want to achieve within this period. Therefore, it will be prudent for us to get a tool that will help us, outline and and inform the general public about these programs and activities. That is the main reason why we launched the communication strategy of the Commission today.
Communication enhances transparency and accountability, as indicated by the EC chair there. But explain further to us about this strategy. How are you going to use communication as a tool to get the political parties, who are the main stakeholders, to trust you better?
We've always undertaken activities and programs in the Electoral Commission, and we therefore think that it is very prudent for us to inform and educate our major stakeholders on those activities and programs. Without informing them, we will not be able to achieve a collective, goal of making sure that our elections are transparent. The elections any activity that the Electoral Commission performs we are accountable to the people. Therefore, any activity or program that the Electoral Commission intends or is undertaken, we would want to communicate these to our major stakeholders, the political parties. We also have civil society organizations, and we also have the electorate as
well, Mr. Ayuba, it's interesting you should say that you communicate all the Commission's activities to the parties, because recently the MPP has had cause to complain about the recent registration exercise involving prisoners. They say that they were not given prior notice before the exercise began, or it actually started. Would you put that down to poor communication?
Araba, I'm reliably informed that all the regional directors wrote to the regional executives of all the political parties about the registration of prisoners. So if their regional representatives did not inform their national executives, then we would not be responsible for the blame. We have always communicated any activity that we intend doing to the political parties, i.e. through IPAC and also through our district and regional offices.
Okay, away from this, let's talk about the continuous registration exercise. It's just a day to go. What's your assessment of the exercise? We know that it was extended to Saturday, that's tomorrow, 27th August, but we're hearing of long queues. So what's the situation like?
Yes, I've gotten a lot of reports from the region and also in the head office. A lot of people are in the queues, wanting to register. So we are working very hard. We've increased the number of registration kits that we are using to register them. So we would hope that at the end of 8 p.m. today, if there are people still in the queue, we would go ahead on Saturday, the 27th of August, and register them.
Many thanks. And that's Deputy Head of Communications at the Electoral Commission, Yusuf Ayuba there. Well, speaking of the registration exercise, our checks showed hundreds of Ghanaians have massed up at the Electoral Commission's office with a day to go for the limited registration exercise. Last week, the Commission announced that persons who have not yet been registered to vote can do so on Friday, August 19th and August 26th, that's today, in the continuous registration exercise. The political parties had earlier reached an agreement with the Commission to use the continuous registration process to register eligible voters who were unable to take part in the recent limited registration exercise. The exercise was extended by a day after the Commission realized the huge numbers that had patronized the exercise last week. Well, Joy News reporter Joseph Akable witnessed today's exercise. He has more in this report.
office in Accra, where it's the last day of the limited registration exercise. Now, the Electoral Commission, after having an interaction at the IPAC level, decided to extend the exercise to ensure that those who couldn't register undertake the exercise. Now, here at the office, also a district office as well, possible voters from the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency, they have all massed up here to undertake the registration exercise. So I'm going around to interact with some of them to find out, first and foremost, how the process has been for them, how long they came in, and the excitement too as well, because this offers an opportunity for them to register. Have you been here, and how has it been?
Okay, we've been here for about an hour now. I think the queue is moving, so I think very soon we're going to get out of here.
Yeah, but are you excited about this? We understand today is the last day, and what it means is that this is your last opportunity to get onto the electoral roll.
Of course, everybody will be excited if you have been given the chance to exercise your franchise and the nation's determination of who the leader is. Of course, you should be excited. You should feel very important to have that platform. So it's good that EC is giving everybody the chance. I think it's a step in the right direction.
Let me speak to another gentleman here. How long have you been here?
I think we were here around 5 a.m., as early as 5 a.m. But looking at the queue here, it's quite hectic. And I don't know whether there is not enough logistics for them to get re-registered, because looking at the number here, it's quite a huge number. I'm from University of Ghana campus coming here to register, and looking at this queue, the same thing went on during the limited registration, and we weren't able to register. And this time too, I don't know whether we will get the opportunity to be registered, because the population here is quite huge, and we are pleading with them, if there is not enough logistics for them to get us registered, they should really do so, because once we are here and we want to also exercise our franchise, and we don't want a situation whereby we cannot be registered. So we will plead to the EC so that they can, if they can provide us some logistics so that we can be registered.
This is what I want to suggest to complement what my brother is saying. You know, we can deal with online registration. It's much more easier, and then I think pretty effective. Even for WASI, like my mates were telling me, even WASI and OFDEC, we do online registration and people still get the registration through. So I think the EC should try to look for more technological ways instead of this tete-a-tete registration.
For about 5 hours now.
You came here around which time?
Like, was it 8:30 there? Or yeah, early in the morning, like 7, 8 there.
So I guess it's just your hope that before the day ends, you'll be able to register?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm hoping that I'll be able to register by the end of today. If not, then I'm not sure I'll even try, like, do this again. Campus, like long queues, like there are a lot of people, and then you have to balance with classes as well, you get there. So I wasn't able to do it during that time. And when we vacated, I went home they were done with that place. So I had to come back to school and see if I'll be able to do it here.
But it appears you are still facing the queue challenge here.
Yeah. But then, as I said, like, I'm hoping I'll be able to do it at the end of the day.
So those are the views of some Ghanaian citizens who are of the voting age, and they want to take part in this year's election, and they've all massed up here as part of the limited registration exercise that the Electoral Commission decided to extend. It was 2 days. It was agreed at IPAC. This is the last day, the opportunity for those who couldn't get onto the register to also get onto the register, and you can see them here, hundreds massing up here at the Commission's office. That also serves as a district office, all with the hope of getting onto the register. Joseph Akable, Joy News.
So Joseph Akable there, and he joins me now in the studio with more. Joseph, now huge crowds there. Did you get a sense, speaking to the people there, of why they had now come to register?
For most of them, interacting with them, the concern was that the first time the exercise took place, they were having the same challenges. They visit the centers and you have quite a number of people, and the pace is not that fast enough such that it got to their turn. So the exercise ended. Now the ACI decided to extend it. They are back at the district office this time around, not at the polling station, and they are facing the same challenge. What is not really clear, because at the center they have enough equipment there, but it just appears the numbers are just too large.
Now, speaking of equipment, we've heard reports of the EC's equipment breaking down or malfunctioning. Did you see any of that when you visited some of the, the centers?
The centers I visited, the machines were working all right. It's just a case of the numbers being just one too many for the center, and most of them are saying that they don't believe within these 24 hours they can get registered.
All right, thank you very much. Joseph Akable is a Joy News reporter there. You're watching Election Brief. Now, political pundits have pointed out that unemployment is a major issue that the political parties will campaign on, and already we are seeing it on the campaign trail as the political parties outline their plans to address this problem, which is dividing voters. Well, the governing NDC has been speaking about its plans on addressing this issue. We can listen to head of the party's Greater Accra Regional Campaign Team, Sylvester Mensah, on this.
Our emphasis in the last 4 years as government has been largely on infrastructure. The next 4 years shall be focused on industry, employment, and policies that improve human satisfaction index. We are going into an election that will change the structure and dynamics of political parties in this country. An election that would herald a new era in our national politics. No other party than the NDC has what it takes to lead this country into this new social, political, and economic dispensation. Our leader and our leaders have vision in no less measure than any other. They share in our concerns and expectations than anyone else, and are more committed to the transformation of this country in a way that will change our individual and collective lives. What we need is sustained support, trust, and confidence.
So that's the head of the NDC's Greater Accra Regional Campaign Team, Sylvester Mensah, there. Now, what do the United States of America and Ghana have in common? They're both holding crucial elections this year. The U.S. goes to the polls in November, whilst Ghana takes its turn a month later in December. In the U.S., the media is awash with reports of Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton and her Republican counterpart, Donald Trump, exchanging insults as they hit the campaign trail. Watch. Well, back here in Ghana, the two major political parties, the NPP and the NDC, have also been accusing each other of trading insults. But is it serious or much ado about nothing? Joining us on the line for some analysis on this is our good friend and lecturer at the Communications Department of the University of Ghana, Dr. Eche Sikanku. Many thanks for your time, Doc.
Thank you very much. Always good to be with you, Araba.
Great. Now, we've had this week the president accusing the NPP flag bearer, Nana Akufo-Addo, of being a dictator and not a unifier. But prior to that, we had heard the NPP consistently saying that the NDC flag bearer is incompetent. Have we reached the point where they're actually trading insults, or these are normal on the campaign trail?
I do think that there are two types of messages on the campaign trail, personal messages and then policy messages. So it is expected on the campaign trail for us to have a discussion on policy and issues, but also to have a certain kind of rhetoric on the personal character and the persona of the candidates in contention. So it is normal to have rhetoric bordering on the personality of the candidate as well as on issues. However, what the concern has always been if this kind of rhetoric borders on inflammatory, incendiary, and uncivil language, then I think that is a concern across board for watchers of democracy. So the personal attack or the rhetoric on the personality of candidates is not anything new or different.
Now, Doc, would you say, I know you say it's normal, but would you say this is taking attention away from the real issues, education, unemployment, and other infrastructure, the real issues that must be discussed on this campaign trail?
Sure, it does to an extent, because when you look at the functions of political communication, the elements and the role that political communication is supposed to play in any campaign, it is expected that this kind of communication or discourse will center on a discussing government policy, debating issues. After all, the foundation or the heart, the main thesis of the democratic hypothesis is for it to be a marketplace of ideas, a marketplace where people go and debate on issues. So yes, I do agree with you that an overwhelming focus on personality issues takes away from the core function of any growing and functional democracy, which is the contestation of ideas over the future and the development of the country. Campaign messages have different roles. Sometimes they attack, sometimes they defend policy, and sometimes they acclaim. That is, they praise themselves over their achievements. And it looks like so far, what your concern has been is that a lot of the messages have fallen into the personal rather than the policy. All
right. Thank you very much. Always good to speak to you, Dr. Eche Sekanku. He's a lecturer at the University of Ghana, the Communications Department. And that's how we wrap up Election Brief. Thank you for watching throughout this week. I'm Arba Kumsin. We return same time Monday. Pulse with Francis Aban is up next.
Comprehensive coverage of election 2016 here on Election Headquarters on TV, radio, online and mobile.